I'm going to try to advance my PowerPoint. So among these key findings, and I will summarize, I know that it's probably a little bit small, but these are kind of some of these key findings. Nine out of 10 US employers rely on employees with language skills other than English, and 47% of employers state a need for language skills exclusively for the domestic market. 56% of US employers say the demand for language skill other than English will increase in the next 5 years. 1 in 3 language-dependent US employers report a language skill gap, and 1 in 4 US employer lost business due to this lack of language skills. So these findings are not unique. They are pretty much in line with other surveys of hiring managers and human resources professionals, pointing to a growing demand for foreign skills, language skills over the past decade, to include posting for bilingual workers that more than doubled between 2010 and 2015. Many employers in these studies report a foreign language skill gap, as I mentioned, and this gap results in lost opportunities and lost businesses. I will advance again. To secure applicants for the job posting, a large majority, I believe 81% of these foreign language dependent employers acknowledge deliberately downgrading the foreign language need from an essential, when they wrote sort of the application, to a must-have skills. Because again, they were afraid not to find suitable candidates. 3/5 of employers say that intentionally they downgraded the importance of the foreign language requirement in their ads frequently or occasionally, while about 1/4 rarely do. The gap is across industry, because you might think, well, is it just for certain skills or certain industry? No, it's across industries. Multi or bilingualism is one of the top 8 skills required of all occupation, according to an analysis of close to 15 million jobs, touching both low and high prestige jobs. In 2013, foreign language made the business headline when the US Department of Labor reported translators and interpreters to be among the 15 fastest growing occupations. High growth rates continue, with the 2017 report ranking translators and interpreters as the #1 emerging occupation for recent college graduate, with a projected growth of 31% between 2016 and 2026. While there is growth across the whole market, the job that showed the highest growth fall in the high priorities or the high prestige sector, with a 27% increase in listings since 2010. These include jobs like financial manager, editors, industrial designer, industrial engineers. This means that prestigious high earning roles in the US are increasingly looking for bilingual employees to fill them, while at the same time, fewer students are taking language classes and retaining proficiency into adulthood. So to me, this adds up to a fantastic opportunity for those willing and skilled enough to take on a second language. Another gap that I would like to also mention here is the lack of cross-cultural awareness among employees. Intercultural or cross-cultural competency is a crucial skill in the global workplace, where employees are more likely to interact with co-workers, vendors, customers from different cultures and countries, and need to work productively with people who have been shaped by different values, different beliefs, and experiences. Recently, employers working in public, private, and nonprofit organizations in 9 countries were surveyed. Employers recognize a clear business value in employing staff who can work effectively with individual and organizations from different cultural backgrounds. And conversely, organizations whose employees lack these intercultural skills are more exposed to risk. Employers were asked to define intercultural skills, because this is very important. Sometimes we seem to talk about global and international not having the same definitions. But when they were asked, what do you believe is intercultural skills, employers responded that intercultural skills include ability to understand different cultural contexts and viewpoints, demonstrating respect for others, knowledge of a foreign language. Again, as you see, foreign language is there. Employers reported that employees with these skills are more likely to bring in new clients, work well in diverse teams, and positively support the organization brand and reputation. Research also showed that despite this high demand for intercultural fluency, most employers said that the education providers do not sufficiently develop these skills in students before they enter the job market. To top it all off, we have to also look at the immigration and demographic changes throughout the United States. According to the US Census Bureau, about 50% of children under 5 today are part of a minority race or ethnic group, and it's expected, but by about mid-century, the US population will be majority minority. So the number of foreign-born workers increased to 16.5% in 2014, from about 15% in 2005, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And here I bring my last survey, which was the one that I brought up at the very beginning, the ETS, where they really interviewed 2,700 HR executives, and 15% of these responded reported that they encounter shortage in job applicants' diversity skills, such as I mentioned before, in quotation, the ability to work with well with a diverse workforce and customer base. So there are these and other changes in the fabric of American society make intercultural competence more valuable than ever before. And it's not only in the business, but also in the military, in K-12 schools and the colleges. As each economy around the world becomes increasingly international, the need and demand for foreign language then continue to grow. And the importance for foreign language proficiency for graduates cannot be underestimated, as a recent report from the Economist Intelligence Unit underlined, and I quote, "Even when recruiting for jobs in the home market, almost 1/2 of all companies say that prospective candidates need to be fluent in a foreign language, and a further 13% say that multilingual ability is a key selection criterion. The ability to speak a foreign language can often boost also earnings, as we know. For example, there is a 15% to a person's salary in the US that goes up, 34% in India, and 55% in Thailand. So the percentage really increases as far as the benefits. But of course, the incentive for learning a foreign language and culture, as we know, as we all are language and culture instructors, it's not only business motivated. The benefits of a bilingual, multilingual education are very well documented, such as aids across cultural understanding and global awareness, enhances academic progress in other subjects, narrows achievement gaps, benefits higher order, abstract and creative thinking, enriches and enhances cognitive skills and emotional development. Also a sense of achievement that helps the students score higher on standardized tests, improves chances of college acceptance, achievement and attainment, and enhances, again, the career opportunity. So let's go a little bit more focus now on Italian. There was a report done recently in 2018, October 2018, on the general states of Italian language by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this survey revealed that the number of university students studying Italian in the US increased from 64,449 in 2016 to 73,479 in 2018. The number of Italian language students at all levels and grades increased then by 14% nationally. Italy is also the most popular non-English speaking destination abroad for American university students, and this was again according to a report from the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. In Italian department, we continue to stress not only the language offerings, but also the culture courses, as Il Bel Paese has definitely a certain charm on everyone. I recall my first year at Auburn trying to build or rebuild our minor with offering on cinema, gender, food, sustainability, mafia, and anti-mafia, which had a record enrollment of 90 students, for which my dean at the time had to employ even a grad student to help me with the duty of the class management. And of course, a brand new study abroad program. At the time, in 2006, I started in Taormina, Sicily, an ideal site for all the offerings that I had created. That attracted more than 45 students in our vibrant minor in less than 2 years. And so we start building, and I don't know if you know, but I was kind of a one-man band at the time, and now we have 3 people, three professor, tenure track professor in the department. In an era that seems to be STEM dominated, our academic curricula tend to overshadow all other subject areas. Foreign language may often be treated as a competing discipline. Instead, they need to be obviously recognized as not only complementary, but also interdependent skill that produces this competence and this marketability. And for that, so I started little by little to add things to the minor. And as Anna mentioned at the very beginning, my first goal was the implementation of a language across the curriculum that seemed to be very well received, particularly in the fine arts. There was always one class. So we sort of adopted a type. I know that there are many language across the curriculum models, but at the time we adopted the one that is co-taught but also separate. So there is the English class or the English speaking class that runs contemporary to the 1 credit language addition. And so there were students, for example, taking history classes, or students taking art classes that at the same time were taking Italian or French from an Italian teacher or a French teacher. So they were reading text. They were supplementary or sometimes even the same in the original language. And they were very excited because they were always having kind of a heads up compared to their fellow students in the other class that were not necessarily taking the extra credit course. So from that also, I created together with a colleague of mine in German, what we called a global culture program, whose foundation was a class that we entitled Global Fluency and Awareness, an introduction to non-native language as representation of reflection of 2 different cultural regions and impetus for in-depth analysis of global identities. So this is co-taught, and I wanted to tell you that this global culture program started in probably 2011, 2012, but since 2016, this class has been now part of the core at Auburn University because other colleges and other units on campus realized that, again, we have really a handful of classes that fulfill the global awareness or the cross-cultural competency. And so this one was very popular, became very popular. I think that the smallest class that we have usually is about 50 in the class, and it's always taught by 2 professors in 2 completely different languages and completely different culture. So for example, I taught that one time with my German colleague, oftentimes is a German colleague and an Asian study colleague, and different. So we have topics that are the same, but then they are presented to the classes with the lens or the perspective of the particular country or the particular language, just to give a different, again, perspective. Unfortunately, I taught this class only once since in 2011, I was promoted to Associate Dean for Education Affairs in the College of Liberal Arts. It was hard for me to leave the classroom, but I have to admit, I took the chance to fulfill the role because I thought, wait a second, I might be sad to leave my classroom, but I might be doing some good to my students and my colleague into, taking some strategic moves and strategic plans for curriculum and implementation of program. And you will hear some of this that I strongly believe have moved the needle toward a more intentional and international curriculum for our students. So the year before I started my role as Associate Dean, I had already started talking to my colleague in the foreign language department and saying, we need a little bit of a boost in recruiting students. And so I had called the first year program director. We have what we call learning community that are just open for freshmen. And I had asked him, I know that you have a call for proposal every year. Do you have any interest in a proposal of a class that could really entice the students and whet their appetite about international and foreign language, foreign culture? So that proposal was accepted. And so since, I believe, 2011, I've been teaching every fall. This used to be 2 credit, now is 1 credit class that is called Global Ambassadors. And I believe I have, yes, I have a little bit of a slide there to explain. So this is a residential learning community of a maximum of 20 students. And now it's called Global Ambassadors. I believe at the very first time I called it study or learning abroad or something like that, but it resonates better with the students. They feel like they're more empowered when they sign up with Global Ambassador as a title. It's 1 credit introductory course. And as a cohort that not only take this 1 credit class when they first start in the fall, but they also take other classes like world history, global geography, and the global fluency that I already mentioned. And these are, you know, I was able to actually help create the curriculum. It's already pre-established for the students. And so they sign up. When they sign up for the 1 credit class, they sign up for also all of those classes. The Global Ambassador learning community is for students who are interested, as I mentioned, in exploring other culture, exploring global current events, who read international newspaper, travel abroad, or want to pursue a career that will place them around the world. And it's not only for college or liberal arts students, is open to everybody. So I'm often finding myself with students in business or students in agriculture or even nursing, and then obviously our communication and journalism, English, history students that are there. This is, to me, is an invaluable and unparalleled opportunity to recruit students into our foreign language classes, and especially with guest speakers from the different departments that I always invite. I always invite staff from the Study Abroad office and the Career Service alongside international students and scholars who share their own experience. And the reason why I continue to teach the class is because I was pretty interested in where are these students going after they take this class. And so I followed them for a couple of semesters, and I realized from my department chair in the foreign language department and other colleagues of mine that they were actually migrating to our foreign language department. And so when I found out that a lot of my students were taking Spanish or Italian or German, I'm like, I have to continue this. This is working. So even as an associate dean, sometimes my dean says, are you sure that you want to do it? You know, you don't have your plate full. I'm like, I have to do it. We only meet once a week, but it's been really a very good experience for us and as well as for the students, of course. So I'm going to go into another track now. As you recall the report, they had recommendation for employers, the ACTFL report. Among the most important and relevant recommendation, there were about 3 or 4 that I will mention. And I think this will make sense when I'll show you where I went after this learning community. So the recommendations were, employers, if you want people, employees in your businesses with these skills, you have to make foreign language a strategic focus throughout the recruitment process. You have to set hiring targets for employees with foreign language. You have to communicate interest in this type of employees. The number 2 was also, if you have talented candidates and employees already in your business, you have to give them particular training, coaching, possibilities of taking maybe online programs or classes while they are employed with your businesses. The third one was, and this is very important as college professors, is to identify and cultivate a pipeline of multilingual talent. So what they were telling the employers was, you need to partner with college and universities with international studies, foreign language, study abroad, while you are articulating your needs so that they might help you. Because remember, those were the ones that were complaining about, hey, the educators are not preparing the students. So if you want to, quit your complaining, you need to communicate with these partners and let them know what are your needs, so that this foreign language department or programs are really focusing on some of those needs and opportunities. And make it also promoting a kind of a functional use of languages in various fields like law, engineering, healthcare, tourism, social services, or other sectors. One last thing was offering internship opportunities for qualified students, and that obviously will create the pipeline that they were talking about. So I kept that in the back of my mind, and I thought, well, we need to go somewhere. We cannot just continue to recruit and talk, communicate amongst ourselves as educators, but we have to reach out also to these employers. So I was determined to connect with these employers and employees, and I started, first of all, submitting funding requests to our Italian consulate and embassy in order to secure financial support to work on upper level classes to be offered online. As I mentioned, we only had at the time minor studies in Italian, and only at the undergraduate level. So I was able to receive a generous grant for 4 years that allowed me to teach a variety of 3,000 to 6,000 level distance courses, mostly culture and literature. I established a series of abroad internship programs that, instead of competing with our study abroad programs, could offer the additional component a land-grant institution like Auburn should guarantee to its students, which is community initiatives and internship. And so I explored this possibility, and now we have internship and community project in London, Dublin, Rome, Taormina, Shanghai, Buenos Aires, and Brussels. At the same time, with the hiring of a new assistant provost of international programs coming to Auburn from Purdue, which is another land-grant institution, it was possible to connect with partner institutions through university or college-wide MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding. So it was my intention to seize every opportunity I could, after having expanded the study abroad program network to all our 13 departments in my college. I secured agreements for student and faculty exchanges with University of Catania, La Sapienza in Rome, University of Toulon, Paris West, Nanterre, and St. Jean University. Last but not least, in 2013, we had a new dean, and our dean his alma mater is, or one of his alma mater, I should say, is Indiana University. And so him and I explored other possibilities, trying to create a college career service unit. We have a centralized career center for the whole university, but we thought if we had our own people, our own employers, that we would be more focused on what our students need and what the employers need. Because sometimes we have these wonderful fairs on our campus, but the students, when we say go there, they're like, well, look at the list of employers. It doesn't really make sense for me to go. There might be one or two amongst those 30 that they come that are specific or more appropriate for fine arts or humanities, but not all of them. And so we understood that we needed to have something of our own. So what I did with this invitation was to go to Indiana University in Bloomington a couple of summers ago to meet with many staff members and administrators for kind of a brain picking and coaching. And so when I came back, I sort of created a little bit of a micro Indiana University career service, because of course theirs is great, is huge. They have 10 career communities, we only have 5. But I was able, again, with this support, it's been really great in financing some of these initiatives, I was able to hire 3 career specialists, each designated to specific department of my college based on their professional and academic background. So we have one person right now that is had a background in media, and so she is more of the media specialist, English, more creative sectors. Then we have one of the career specialists that has a background in aviation and more professional schools. So those, she works more with the health administration, speech and language, aviation, economy, you know, all this different department that perhaps are not the most sort of popular or very often seen in a college of liberal arts or arts and sciences college. And then the last one, who has more of humanities, social services, she works with our department in, you know, English and not English, but history, foreign language, and the social sciences, psychology and social work. We have created 5 communities, each consisting of a group of students who have career interest in specific occupational category. This model was implemented to provide a more targeted approach to guiding students through the career development process. So the 5 career communities are, one is government, public policy and international affairs. The other one is health administration and wellness. The third is nonprofit, education and social service. Fourth is visual, written and performing arts. And the 5th is communication, journalism, public relations. Through these communities, you might say, what do they do? I mean, the students have to sort of enroll. So we have kind of a very quick link that says, send me your name, your email address, your major, and you will be part of these communities. But what do they get through these communities? They basically are able to cultivate their their specific professional skills. They receive guidance from industry experts, alumni, and employers. They gain access to alumni working in their field of employment and prepare for the workplace. They also received 2 emails a month, one at the beginning and one in the middle of the month. The first includes employer on campus events, CLA career service events, career community specific events. And the second includes a link and a list of internship possibilities, job advertisement, you know, sort of kind of a recruiting and professional development tips. Other benefits are early registration for some of the services that we have, and exclusive. So they are kind of the only ones that can participate to dining etiquette seminars, what we call Awesome Alumni Day, which is a day usually in the spring where we invite very high profile alumni that talk to them and have a conversation. Actually, the first year we even had a dinner together. Now, obviously, with COVID, everything has been a little bit of a Zoom meeting rather than the dinner. And then what we call a CLA Career Day. So instead of, we still send the information about the fairs to our students, but we also create one particular sort of fair, which is not really a fair. It's a little more informal, with tables, round tables, rather than just, you know, hand out resumes and shaking hands. Usually it's in September. And we're very specific, again, inviting those employers that are for our students. So we started with a very small group of about 20 employers. Now, this particular year, we had 35 employers, and the numbers of student participation skyrocketed. This year just happened in September. We had about 450 students from CLA that went. The first year, they were so kind of, I guess, excited but a little bit disoriented that the number was about 200. So we really doubled that number. So last but not least, I included, and again, this you can see now that there is more of an Italian studies purpose there, because again, our minor is thriving, but still very small. And so I was trying to see, okay, if they maybe are not interested in the full-fledged Italian studies program or study abroad, maybe they'll be interested in something that gives them the opportunity of studying Italian, but have a broader approach. And so last year, in fall of 2019, I decided to implement the Mediterranean Studies Certificate that sprang from the Mediterranean Research Group that I started a couple of years ago, and symposium. Every year we've been having a symposium. We sort of alternate. 1 year Auburn sponsors it, another year our partner institution in France and Italy. And this certificate requires not only courses in language, the language of the Mediterranean, of course, but also a specific study abroad coursework or research. Now, I don't know how it is at Yale, but at Auburn, the language requirement is only for college or liberal arts students. And the study abroad is not a requirement at all. When I start talking about requirement, everybody, especially, the higher administration, said, we cannot do that. And I was a little bit disappointed. And I said, well, I'm going to start working a little bit at a time, but we need to do this, because if, again, we continue to talk about international and global and then sit around in our rooms without having an immersion, it's not going to work. So little by little, because of the exchange program, because of other opportunities that are not necessarily putting a financial burden on our students, because with exchange they pay the same tuition, higher administration say, okay, you can do that if you have options. And if they can take maybe shorter study abroad, if they have the exchange program, if they have, other things, even research that they can do, perhaps, back and forth without having to stay in the country for a long period of time. And so this was kind of my first step with the study abroad requirement. The beauty of the certificate is that it's very small, so it's only 12 credit hours, and there is the study abroad or course or internship that is mandatory. We have a capstone that is mandatory, and then the students can choose 2 courses from an approved list. At least 50% of the courses for the certificate needs to be at a certain level, so 3,000 level or above. Because of this certificate now, other departments are really thinking that way, because it's easier to attain it, it's faster, it gives, again, kind of a more professional, it's open to non-degree seeker as well. So my colleague in the foreign language department are now working on a linguistic minor that addresses the application in the field of law and healthcare, connecting with our faculty and specialists in the Department of Policy Science, where our program is in health administration, pre-law, and public admin reside. So as I mentioned before, in my years as an Italian professor, I had tried not only to push the minor, but at a certain point also a major in Italian studies. And unfortunately, the major never made it. It was never a possibility for me. So I had to find other ways to make these students advance. And so we talked with colleagues at University of Alabama, Auburn University in Montgomery, and then kind of created an umbrella, foreign language degree umbrella. And that could have worked, but really there is always a factor of the duplication in the same state. So that really was not a good option for us. So the other option that I kind of took as a possibility was international studies major. And that has started already this fall. We implemented it. It was kind of a long run with the curriculum, bureaucracy, all the paperwork that you had to establish. But finally, this fall, I'm happy to announce that it's here. We have a new major in international studies, of which I am the director. The International Studies in Liberal Arts will afford undergraduate students the opportunity for intensive study in languages, culture, and ideas of a region or a group or nation with an interdisciplinary approach. It's housed in the Department of Foreign Language and Literature, but it has also the support of departments in the humanities, fine arts, and social sciences. And as I mentioned before, we have regions. We have created 4 regions, such as Europe, Africa, Latin America, Asia, and the Middle East. And for each one of the regions that the students choose, they have to choose also a language that will match the particular region. So at that point, I was a little bit missing something. So that again, they gave me the opportunity of implementing Arabic. So for the first semester, last semester, we offered Arabic as a possibility for elementary language classes. So all international students are expected to complete at least 4 semesters of foreign language. They're also expected to experience a total cultural immersion in a study abroad in the region of their choice, either study alongside local faculty and student or working in the local communities. Students will also take courses that introduce them to culture, history, achievement of the region in which they wish to concentrate. And at the end, of course, they will have to have a project, sort of a capstone, working with the CLA faculty members in the different departments, and have a sort of a writing and research methodology approved that goes along with the regional focus. So I guess I am very excited because not only this fall we have our brand new international studies, but also on Monday of the first couple of weeks in January, we'll have our first meet and greet with employers coming, with the faculty, and working with the students. So another possibility for them to see the applicability. And at the end of spring, we'll have our first international studies graduate. She decided to concentrate in Asian studies, and so she will be working and going to Korea, and is working with me this spring for the sort of internship capstone part of it. So last but not least, I don't want to leave Italian behind because it's always dear and close to my heart. I have not abandoned the classroom. As I mentioned before, I still teach in the fall the 1 credit class, but there was also an agreement with my past dean, so not this dean, but the first dean. I told her, okay, I will be your associate dean if you let me teach a class at least once a year. And at first she looked at me and she said, you're crazy, how are you going to do this? But I told her, I said, you cannot be a good administrator without being inside the classroom, and the students change so much. I always remember, you know, one time I was talking about the Rolling Stones and they looked at me like, well, what are you talking about? And then I showed Justin Bieber image and they were like, oh yeah, we know him. I'm like, things have changed. So that is kind of my compromise. And so in this past semester, I've taught Italian class, and this particular semester, I was really happy to explore pedagogical tools, different pedagogical tools in my class, because I think that is not only, again, a very good hook in recruiting students, but also a good strategic preparation for them to understand that, again, it's not only literature, it's not only people, you know, 6,000 miles away from me, but it's very practical. It's something that I can attain. So what we did in that class, I taught a class that I entitled Seeking Italy, Tour, Taste, and Tell. And it was really kind of a traveling tour of Italy through writings, through literature, through journeys, real journeys of other people that have taken prior to us, exploring why there is this kind of innate desire to go and visit Italy. What is the Italy is why is so attractive? And so what we did, my challenge personally to myself, because I always like to learn as I teach my student, was to use a new tool. It's called Liquid Galaxy. Now, my library bought this tool about a year and a half ago, and only the geographers and the geologists were the ones using it. And I thought, surely there has to be some application for humanities. And so what I did, I talked to in the information technology specialist at the library, who is really an awesome guy interested in mapping and cartography and things like that. And I said, look, can we do a tour? Can we follow Goethe's tour of Italy through this? And he said, sure, we can. Just send me the sites. Just give me what you want me to show on the screen, and we can make this happen. And so that's how it was. We started in the class with basically the grand tour of many foreigners and tourists and writers, artists going to Italy. Goethe was kind of the highlight, of course. Then we moved with Ginsberg and Vittorini and Ferrante from region to region, showing that Italians have moved from place to place for a different reason. Unfortunately, most of them were because of the war situation and, as you know, anti-Semitism at the time. And then finally, we discovered the Italian-American neighborhoods where the Italian culture and tradition have been kept and morphed, and landed with Severnini in A Bella Figura and Made in Italy, to show a full image of Italy that we continue to explore. As you see, this was the screen. We had to go to the library, and there was this huge screen in front of us. Me and the librarian worked kind of the week before in putting together all the images, all the stops that he had to do. And then it's sort of like a Google map, basically. It enlarges the site. You can even go inside with, sort of like as you're walking on the streets. And so he was, at the end, he became sort of a student himself, because he would say, you know what, while you're talking about this, can I show the house where this writer was born? I'm like, go ahead. And so we would discover, the door with the plaque that said here was born, or lived. I think we were in Milan at the time, and here was Vittorini's house. And the students were there really enthralled the first couple of weeks, because they were not familiar with Liquid Galaxy. And so we were able to travel. I like to say that we traveled to Italy this semester. So as students bid farewell to one another and to me, I gathered some kind of complimentary comments, but most importantly, reflections on how these classes have given them the opportunity to think, assess, reassess, and learn more about their self, their own cultures, as well as the one of others. I will just share with you and end with these two quotes that I'm sure will warm your hearts as much as they did mine, and then move directly to the Q&A. I'm sure that I took more than what I was supposed to be taking, but this is a comment from one of the students in the Global Ambassador class, so the kind of one credit class. He was a business student doing, I believe, chain supply, and he took this class a little bit at the beginning. I could tell that he was like, I'm a business guy, but then he wrote this wonderful comment. This class has inspired me to take a great initiative in career goals. He signed up for Handshake, which is a tool that we have at Auburn to find jobs. And this platform enabled me to gain new insight into work at the Department of State through informational seminars. And I saw a Zoom picture of him. It took recorded it, that he had participated in one of the Zoom meeting with the Department of State to learn a little bit about the possibility that he will have in the future. And then the last one that I have is from the student that I was talking about, the international studies first graduate that we have. And she confirms that her regional concentration is in Asia. This allows me to take some fun classes, of course, but also she had to select the choice of Japanese, Chinese, and Korean, and she selected Korean. And she will be going to Korea in the spring to finish the major at this point. So that's all I have. And I know I need to be quiet and listen to you at this point, because you might have questions for me.
Thank you so much. And Yes, if you will, we have a few minutes for questions. Deborah.
Yes, thank you so much for all this useful and precious information, Giovanna. You mentioned learning communities and internships. Can you say something more about this and how students engage, the students of Italian engage with these projects?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
So the learning community, again, they come just for the 1 credit hour. And unfortunately, then after the class, I don't see them anymore. But as I mentioned, I track them to see where they end up. And I have seen a lot of the students going to particularly Spanish and Italian classes. Now, I'm not sure that they go for the entire degree in foreign language, but they are taking at least the minor in those specific language areas. As far as the internship, yes, starting from the beginning, basically I connected with my foreign language colleague and said, you know, the study abroad are wonderful. And I am a big proponent, you know, for over 10 years, I took students myself to study abroad. But because of the, you know, the land grant institution, and also because internship, evidently, I mean, even from the employer side, we hear that they are the trampoline for employment for these students. I've always pushed the students to say, study abroad, maybe start with that, because I know that sometimes you feel a little bit not very familiar with the setting. You want to go with a group, you want to go with your professor, but then after that experience, try to go as an internship, you know, to Italy or to another country, so that you can live there, you can experience, you can work with the community. And so we have seen a lot of students that they go to Taormina. They've gone to Taormina for internship with the book festival, also the ceramic. There was a ceramic industry that asked the students not necessarily to work on the ceramic pieces. I think they asked her a couple of weeks to do. They were so overwhelmed that they asked her to help out with some of the painting. But other than that, they wanted for her to create a website and some communication marketing scheme, because as you know, Italians are not very good at that. And so they used her and her expertise for that. Also, they've worked as far as internship. My colleague, Dr. Caponetto, who's a professor with me in the foreign language department in Italian, she also works with sending students as interns to teach ESL in Italy, with not only with La Sapienza, but also in other university in the northern parts of the country. And I believe that there is also one internship that is offered through the NIAF network. So we have seen a lot of those students. And actually, I have to tell you, I have 2 students that were in my class this fall that I particularly kind of sent off to University of Catania, which is one of my alma mater, as exchange program students. And they were there for a semester. And particularly one girl didn't even want to come back. And she told me when she was in my class that she's graduating in English this semester. I said to her, what are you going to do? And she said, I told you that I didn't want to come back, so I'm going back to Italy. And she's doing the teaching ESL, and hopefully she hopes
Wonderful.
that she's there. She's going to find a job because both her English and Italian at this point are very, very good. And so that has created, I think, a good pipeline.
Thanks. Fantastic.
You know, there's something on the... Oh, it was okay. Just a thank you.
Giovanni? Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I was wondering if you could say a bit more about the Global Fluency and Awareness course. It sounded very intriguing, but I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about how the syllabus is developed and what kind of activities you have in that class.
Sure. So what we do as teacher, and I can actually share the syllabus that I used at some point. I can send it to Anna, perhaps, and Anna can send it to you all. But the way that it's done is we have, first of all, we ask the students to read with us international news every day when we meet. And we even ask them at a certain point, okay, we have kind of a link, a series of links for international newspapers. And then we ask on a rotation basis, they have to sign up, and one student at a time, they will choose one daily news to share with the class. So that was a great experience, because a lot of the students, both in this class and my one credit class that I was talking about before, that's actually what they said after they left the class. They said, well, now we are in the kind of a philosophy and mentality of saying, we need to at least read an international newspaper. And they're trying to do it even after the class is finished, because they realize, I even ask them sometimes, even if you hear on the American channel, try to find the same news and see what, the BBC or the Spiegel or other newspaper are describing the same sort of topic. Then after that international news, what we do is we concentrate every time that we meet, and we meet twice a week. For that class, we have a topic. So the first topic might be gesture, kind of body language. The second might be educational system. The third might be gender roles. So there is kind of a different topic and theme for each one of those. And we talk, since there are two professors from two different areas and two different cultures, we talk about how that is experienced in the particular country or region. We also have kind of games or activities that go along with the topics in those languages as well. And, obviously with the great internet now, we're able to connect with, songs and videos, different clips of movies and different other things that will help them understand, again, from different perspective with different scenarios, how the theme is current and practical for them. And then as far as projects, what we had done in the past as a midterm project, we asked them to interview or find international students or faculty to interview and work with them on, what is that you can tell us about your culture? What did you find? What were some of the challenges or the difference that you found when you came into this country? So they have kind of that experience that they cultivate for a couple of weeks before they turn in the midterm project. The final project instead is more of a kind of adopt a region or a country, so that at the end they need to be so familiarized in with the country after we have talked about all those themes and different scenarios, that they will have to present. We ask them to sort of create a brochure, some marketing tools, and then they present to the class, okay, this is the country, this is the things that you can do, but these are also some things important that you need to know about the country. What are some of the things that you can't or can do in this country? What are some of the things that you should keep in mind before you go to the country? And so I think that at the point with the final, they've again collected that much information, whether through newspapers or activities or the team lectured, that they will have kind of an easy way. Obviously, they also Google, they do some research on their own, and we ask them to have kind of a bibliography as well. And then last but not least, what we did for a long time, unfortunately now it's been a little bit limited, not only for COVID, but also because of possibilities. But we also invited a lot of consuls and sort of governmental representative from Atlanta, because Atlanta is only about an hour away from us. And so if, we had, for example, a Japanese professor that was teaching, that professor would extend an invitation to the Japanese consulate, or, an Italian would ask them to also come. and so that they also will have kind of the governmental or alumni come in there and talk about their country, their experience. And again, most of the times we had, after the class, we would invite the governmental representative to come with us to lunch. And we had tickets for different students at different time. Again, they had to sign up and say, okay, you know, this week it's 3 students. Next week will be other 3 students. And they will know ahead of time who the guests were, so that they, if they were interested, particularly in Switzerland, or if they were interested in Japan, then they would say, hey, I want to go and eat with you guys because I want to ask questions. And that was fabulous. I think the students had so many opportunities because the consul brought up also possibility of internship, a possibility of studying abroad, working abroad. And there were a lot of students feeling really, I guess because of the dinner situation, it was kind of a lunch, round table lunch, they felt so kind of at ease that they were asking a lot of questions, even personal questions, saying, you know, this is what I want to do. What would you suggest? What was your experience? And so that was really, really, really good. And I'm sure with Boston, you know, in the big cities in the East Coast, it will be even easier than it is for us here in the South.
Thank you so much. And it'll be great to see the syllabus if you
Yes.
it does.
Jane, did you have a question?
No, thank you so much, Giovanna. This was such a bracing talk on, as Penny said, on a rather gloomy day here in here on the East Coast. And I guess my first question is, do you ever sleep? And if so, when? And my second one is, you know, what's so amazing about your work and what you were able to convey to us in, you know, such a short amount of time, is that you've seen all facets of the university, right? From your position as a professor up to, you know, a decanal level, and obviously working with provosts and presidents and all of that. And it's just really great to think about that. And so you're in a wonderful position to really comment on something you mentioned about halfway through your talk, which was the extent to which foreign languages are often seen as an alternative to STEM. And I really think that's true. I mean, we've certainly seen at, you know, all the institutions I've taught at, and certainly in many other places, this kind of erosion of humanities majors and this accompanying, you know, I'm sure very needed, you know, increase in folks in engineering and math and biology and all of that. So how have you, I know that a lot of your comments were about fields, I guess, other than the sciences, as you gave us some specific examples of internships and so forth. I did notice that your meet and greet day on January 25th will include people from the Center for Disease Control, and that's fascinating. And I'm just wondering, are there more systematic ways or other systematic ways in which you also try to work with STEM?
Yeah, so we did work very closely. We have the assistant provost of international affairs has done a great job at sort of putting us together as representative of each college. We meet once a month, and it's been nice to talk to the other associate deans and representative of those colleges and let them understand, okay, what is going on in your college, because they all have a little bit of assumption. They all make assumptions about college of liberal arts. They're like, okay, you have study abroad, but, you know, sort of your language skills and they kind of diminish the other factors. But I think we got to know each other so well that now they really rely, in a sense, on our college. As a matter of fact, me and a representative, another assistant dean in the College of Business, put together in August a symposium on internationalization at Auburn, because again, we were part of this group and everybody said, you two seem to have kind of more of a sense of what's going on, what's best for the students. Why don't you try to put together? And we invited a lot of students in order for them to speak, because also College of Business has started a lot of internship opportunities. College of Business and Engineering have been great allies lately, but before it used to be like, even particularly in my classes in Italian studies, I had a lot of students that would say to me after the first year or the first semester, I would like to continue with the second semester of Italian, but I can't because my college has only 120 credits that need to be fulfilled at the engineering level. And that broke my heart. I'm like, how can you do this? And my daughter-in-law is actually graduated in engineering. And she told me several times when I took her for the first time in Italy, she told me it's really absurd because she worked with so many foreign countries and foreign companies that she said, I don't understand why they never told us to study at least one language, or again, some sort of global awareness, global, cross-cultural awareness. And so because of that, finally, with this group that sort of meets together, know what's going on in the other colleges, putting some initiatives together, engineering finally grab hold of my French colleagues and my German colleagues, and now they're doing internships together with German language skills and French French language skills in those countries. So they have kind of MOUs that are bilateral together with College of Engineering and foreign language specifically. So it's been nice to see the sort of progress, but yes, it takes a long time to convince them and make them understand. And I think also with the employers, we have seen from the employers, for example, Macmillan the other day was saying, don't just invite English students to these meetings, because we need communication, we need foreign language students, so we're seeing that the employers want the diversity that unfortunately we as educators have not really understood. We kind of see CNN. I mean, there was a very interesting meeting that we had with two CNN representatives. And the first thing that they asked was, where are your Spanish students? And even the career specialist said, oh, we will invite them. And they were talking about, we need also, because now we're having a lot of, networking and programs in Spanish. And so we needed their expertise, we need their help with this programming. But once you see CNN, automatically you think, well, I just need to call the media studies students, not anybody else. So, but I think that really the employers are teaching us a lot of important lessons.
No, that's great. I also just want to congratulate you on your international studies major with 4 semesters of a foreign language. I was just on a review of a department in a university that will go unnamed. And not only is there not a foreign language requirement at all for liberal arts students, generally across the college, but their IS program, their international studies program, just last year got rid of their foreign language requirement. So you're going against the tide in ways that I think are crucial, and that I hope will really set the pace for other universities. So thanks for all you've done, and again, congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for this wonderful information that you have passed on to us. And we'll keep in touch.
Yes, and like I said, I will share the syllabus so that you guys can see the global fluency class.
Can you share all your syllabi?
Yeah, I can share also my Italian class.
Speaking Italy sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun also for me. It gave me the chance of seeing my countries through the screen, since I cannot visit.
No, that's a wonderful idea nowadays.
It is.
Eddie.
I would just add my thanks. And Giovanna, this was so inspiring. It really was. And I was so taken by the fact that you're not allowed to have a major in Italian, but you came up with all of these really creative, genius workarounds and creating then this international studies program. And I'm just in awe. And thank you so much for sharing all this with us.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be with you, even if from far away. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll see each other face to face.
Speriamo.
Thank you again. Bye bye,
Thank you,
ciao.
Giovanna. Ciao, ciao.
Grazie,
Grazie.
Ciao.
grazie mille.